if you are Christians, most of us, if you are not careful, you will think that speaking is always religious. But speaking is not always religious. You can't go to United Nations and start your speech by saying, can we lift up our hands and worship God? But the truth is that in church, that is a connect. That's the intro. Because you want to change the environment to align with the new tempo that you want it to go through. So sometimes, if you're not speaking in church, you can't use, let's pray. Sometimes you even say, pray in other tongues, pray in other tongues. Everybody will chat before you make that transition. So a few tips on how to make a very important intro. Number one, which is the simplest, tell your story. My name is Duru Felix Duru. I think I did that the last time I spoke, right? Just tell your story. Story is always important. It's a quick way to introduce yourself. Is that okay? My name is this. I came from this background. Is that okay? Another tip to connect very quickly is to give a very bizarre fact. It's what we call factual introduction. For example, you can say, do you know that more people are living than have died since the world was created? Do you know that there is a star in the universe that is so large that it will contain 520 Earth? Does that make sense? Now, when you 520 Earth will enter inside the star and there will still be space. So that kind of factual push makes people say, oh no, because you want people to, you want to get their attention. For example, you can say, when I teach academic excellence, I do this. I start with, do you know that there are about 700 billion nerve synapses in your brain? Meaning that you are so wired that you are wired not to forget. Your problem is that you are forgetting because you don't understand how your brain works. Now, this kind of scenario, are you with me now? Or you can start with a recent current issue. Do you know that, okay, maybe you want to speak on finance now. But you know you have to choose a connect that is related to what you want to talk about. For example, sir, what is today's date? What is this year? This is in 2010. In 2010, you not believe this. About 5 million, if I'm not, I'm trying to remember now. 5 million was about 10,000 something. But today, the same amount is about 33,000 something. Meaning that in 10 years, the Naira dropped in value for more than 350%. That gains people's attention. Do you know, for example, if you're speaking about child care, do you know that at least out of every 10 girls, 8 have had a near rape experience? And most of those rape experience come from people that are close to them. So if you do that, you build the connect. Is that okay? And then you move into the body. You roll into what you want to talk about very quickly, and then you hammer back on takeaway. Takeaway is what you want the people to do. Do you want them to listen? Do you want them to just agree? Do you want them to take action? Do you want them to revolt? So I'm going to recommend about 2 speeches that are actually very timely. So go online, browse and download Gettysburg speech. The next time, I believe we have one more Saturday, right? I won't disappoint you. Gettysburg. Gettysburg speech. It's one of the greatest speeches, actually the greatest, after the Sermon on the Mount. After the Sermon on the Mount of Jesus Christ, this is the greatest. After this one, I pick I Have a Dream. So the followed, by Martin Luther. This is Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Then get I Have a Dream, and then get Sermon on the Mount. You are going to see the same pattern. There is the connect, there is the body, which is the message, and then there is the what? The hammer, which is you want to narrow it down. Is that okay? So now, my time is up, but to show you, communication is very simple, and I want to tell you one fact. Yeah? Should I digress a little bit? Let me just use the time. Savik, manage me. See, what is education? I know you people are in school. Me, I've done this 5 years. And I went to school, but I had to get an education by my own effort. So I want to show you one thing about education. What is education? Just a little bit of digression, for example. Education is, please, just write this down. Education is number one, exposure. Education that does not give you exposure is not correct. So, if you have children, send them to schools where they can. Actually, sir, do you know that you want to see this one again? Do you know that more than 85% of the current millionaires in all of Africa have international experience? Actually, they were not millionaires until they traveled out. All of them. 85% of the people running Africa have diaspora exposure. So, okay, so another thing is that education is what? Experience. So I love him when he said, brother, when you come this time around, we are going to have, you guys are supposed to prepare quick speeches from what we're teaching. I'm sorry, I had to just dodge. But then, another part of education is experiment. And then the fourth part of education is expectation. Now, please pay attention to something. Where were you born? Where? Delta. But you know that without UNN, without this education, you would never have traveled to the east. You would never have come to Nsukka, right? You would have come. Where were you born? Awesome. So, by virtue of your education, you have some degree of exposure to another culture, true or false? Now, that is awesome. But guess what? Experience and experiment needs you to gain experience, and experiment are things that you are supposed to get. Those are the things that you're supposed to feed you. But this experience and experiment are supposed to be in an area of what we call skill. Everybody says skills. Skill. But then skill, I digress because I need to nail this point. But skill is not generic. We need to narrow down skill as they are. So you are a UNN student, right? The first skill you should get is what we call technical skill. What is technical skill? What are you studying? Technical skill is simply you being a pro in public admin. It's simply your consciousness. Actually, education is you knowing so much about so little and knowing so little about so much. So until you specialize, you will never become special. So don't care about anything. Just be technicalities. They wake you up 6 a.m. to talk about what you studied and you know it. So it's not about making it, it's about knowing, being deep in what you're doing. So the second area of skill is what we call, please pay attention to this, that you need, irrespective of what you are studying, computer skill. Everybody say computer skill. Computer skill. I beg you that we need that. You know, the last time I blew my shoe, I need that for you. See, computer skill is but UNN can't teach you that one. So can I show you some easy computer skill you can pay attention to? Just pay attention to Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Begin with those three, go deep. And then ask yourself, which software am I passionate about, or which software do they use in my department that I can learn, and you'll be fine. That will build foundations for you for the next phase. Are we talking? Now, guess what? After this, actually, unfortunately, the only thing you get out of UNN is what we call tech skill, and they don't do it very well. I'm going somewhere. If you learn what I just said now, you can get out of anything. Because it makes you, when you are working, you know what you are doing. Are you with me now? You are not just going for a computer training, you are conscious of what is going on. Now, after computer skill, you now see the most powerful, which is what I am doing now, which is what we call people skill. Everybody that is leading in the world are leading because they have leadership. And people skill is simply public speaking, leadership, everything, soft skill. The thing they call soft skill, I don't call them soft anymore, they are simply what? Because if you have people skill, you can actually be in charge of those people who have technical skill.
That's true.
It doesn't matter how technical they are. You think that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg know how to
Code
code all the coding. You need to know how to talk. You need to get how to convince people. So let me give you some list of people skills that you need to learn. Please pay attention to proposal writing, everything writing, written communication, spoken communication, read how to win friends and influence people, and then of course try and study the temperament book, and then read general articles on human psychology. Because if you know how human people behave, you will know how to lead them. But from here now, we are dealing with soft skill communication, right? How many minutes have I spent here now? And then you're already getting value, right? It's not just about content. There is also the skill of communication to get you not to forget what you've learned. How many of you have seen a lecturer that don't know how to teach? All right, and then there is a lecturer that knows how to teach you, enjoy their course, right? They're in degree, so it's a skill. How many of you listen to a pastor that knows how to preach? Oh, and then your parents have dragged you to a church where you are just like, are you with me now? So, see, if you learn this tech, this computer, and this, now I want to show you why this, what Savik is doing. Can we give him a video, please? I'm doing this to show you what he's doing, why it's important, and why a lot of people in this environment haven't caught up yet. Now, pay attention. If you get technical skill, you are one step up. You get some reasonable computer skill, you are up. Please fight for people's skill. Fight for it. Learn to talk. I mean, get everything you can do on leadership, communication, everything that has to do with leading people. Is that okay? And then the fourth, I underlined here and underlined here. The last one is the mother of them all. And it's not the most important. This is the most vital. I know why. Ask me why I said that. Why? There are two most valuable resources in the world: real estate, static land, and real estate, mobile land. Hope you know you are a land, you are a body. And the richest people in the world are the people who have the best human beings working for them and the best land in the best location. Unfortunately for Africa, we have the richest land, and then we have the smartest people. But you know the problem with Africa: every time you put natural resources above human resources, you delay development. Because it takes human resources to maximize natural resources. Japan has no much natural resources, but quality human resource maximize there. Yes, sir. All right, so finally, okay, now this makes sense. The final skill we chase it. Even, you see me, I'm a pastor. I preach, I speak in tongues. I'm just coming from a pastoral retreat.
Morning skills.
Daddy. No, that can be said here. Everybody put it entrepreneurship skills. This is the balance. This is the 4 pillars of being skillful as a young person. So I digress because I was coming back here when I wanted to talk about these people skills. So where is people skill in this equation?
Level 3.
Level 3, right? What the other speaker that came around today, what did he talk about?
Volunteering and networking.
Awesome. Volunteering and networking, where will he put it? People, you get the point, because see, volunteering, you just wake up and say, sir, can I work for you? Don't pay me, but you have something you are chasing. You're going to walk out of there with so much experience, so much relationship, so much network that you will not fight for that. But there are some people who don't have that wisdom. And there are people who you are going to even, do you know a lot of people are close to Savik, but a lot of people don't learn anything from you. Yes. Some of you are not smart. You think that when you come to learn is when he teaches. You learn more when he makes decisions. How come? He has come to school since morning, ensuring that everything works out. Do you get the point? He had all the excuse for today not to hold. Come on, guys. Isn't it a very good excuse? Our former venue is not available, can we cancel? But it's not in him, because he has learned the power of being consistent in leadership. You learn that and you grab that, and then you start removing every form of excuse in your life. Are we all right? Yeah. So when we come back to communication, let me tell you, the people that know how to say it are stronger than the people that know how to do it. Any day, anytime. But you shouldn't be a person that don't know how to do it. Do you understand? Be technical enough so that people don't, you can be a leader, but you don't know how to drive. And you have a driver, and you don't know you offended him. And then he will stop you in the middle of nowhere and say, oh, that they drive. But you should be. But if you can drive, even if he wants to leave you stranded, you enter and start driving yourself. Do you get the point? Have an idea, but then. So what I'm actually trying to show you guys is, as a young person, you have all the time and all the opportunities to build yourself in all of this area, and you can do it one day at a time. For example, we're talking about entrepreneurship skill, money skill. What is the heart? Because we can summarize all of this. What is the heart of people's skill? The heart of people's skill is that make sure that you don't have inferiority complex and you don't have superiority complex. Don't look down on people and don't look down on yourself. Then you can understand. See everybody as valuable. Do you understand? Do you know there are some people who think that some people are not fine?
Yes, sir.
That's not skillful. That's not being skillful. Hello? There are some people who say, you are not my type. You are not my type. How can you say you are not my type? Okay? The reason why it's not your type is that it doesn't have money yet. Not your type.
Are you your type?
Even you can you marry yourself? They duplicate you now. Can you marry yourself? You can boss yourself. If you marry yourself, you kill yourself. Both of you will die there. What is the heart of entrepreneurship skill? The simple summary of entrepreneurship skill. Should I summarize it for you?
Yes, sir.
The first, that entrepreneurship is based on the most three critical laws of economics. The first law is the law of demand, the law of supply, and the law of diminishing marginal income. Okay, I've spoken complexity. Let me summarize it for you. Just know that in entrepreneurship, the value of service must come before the return of profit. It is your power. I just summarize it for you. Anytime you think about money, think about what you can exchange for people to pay you. And there are three things, like I talked about the last time. You can sell goods, you can sell service, and you can sell knowledge. Those are the three things that we turn to money. And then you can do the three. Are you with me now? So, because I don't just want to teach you public speaking, I also want to broaden your areas of content so that you have a lot of things. Of course, we can specialize you. You shouldn't talk about everything. Are you with me now? Because we'll talk about that the next time we meet, and then talk about all the nitty-gritty. For example, do you know that what you say is not as important as how you say it? Think about this. That you decrease. You decrease. You decrease. But check this out. Yeah, you decrease. You decrease.
No.
But me, you are a friend. I'm saying the same thing, but how I'm saying it is different.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things you need to know. For example, in communication, there is. Do you know? Okay, for example, if you want to talk about communication now, and you want to teach people public speaking, guess what? The lady at the back just steps up and says, "Do you know that communication is simply divided?" Let me assume you have a very short time. Is that okay? Because you also have to work with time. Do you know about communication, public speaking is simply two sides. There is verbal communication, and then there is what? Non-verbal communication. Verbal communication is simply everything that is sound. And the non-verbal communication is simply everything that is motion. And let me tell you something. The entire law of this earth is simply what? Sound, light, and motion. Hope you are aware that this world is based on these three things. Everything in this world is either making sound, is either moving, or is either producing light. If you don't have any one of them, you are dead. Life is simply motion, sound, or light. If you are not talking, you should know this. Even when you look at the Trinity of God, should I look at the Trinity of God? What does the Father, what do we see in the Father? What do we see in the Son? Sound is the word of God. What do we see in the motion? Holy Ghost, he moves like a mighty rushing wind. Hey, look at this people. Okay, wait. Have you thought about the thunder? The thunder, what's the first thing you see? Light. The next thing you hear, sound. But that light and that sound are moving. They're in motion. So, and then where you now hammer it down is that, do you now know that verbal communication is simply 5% and non-verbal communication is 95%? People will forget what you said. They never forget how you said what you said. Hey, I love you. Think about that. And then, I love you. Do you get it? And then I love you. You know it's a joke. But then there is, do you get the point? The how is the power. And that's what we are going to, of course, we're not going to neglect the tone and all of that. Is that okay? And then we're going to narrow it down and then get all of you to, because there will be projects. For example, you are not going to finish that public speaking class without launching a YouTube channel. The future of the internet is vlogging. So you have to apply what you're learning, and then you have to choose an area of content creation, something you want to talk about periodically. Do you understand? Female hygiene, girl child, Biafra, Nigeria, Africa, religion, marriage failure, academic excellence. That will be something that you build for yourself. That might not be the only thing you talk about all your life, but that becomes the flagship of your passion. Is that all right? I'm sorry I missed today. I think we'll have more time next week. So sorry.